Hey, babe. Look at, what were they doing? Dancing? Okay, can y'all hear me okay? Okay, good deal. I'm sending out notifications, y'all. Give me just a minute. I know, it's really weird. But what's even more weird is these are the only footprints out there. Yes, this is the back patio. If you're just coming in, please make sure to hit the heart at the top. Send your heart me for the day. Y'all double tap, share it out so that we get to 10K. Get on the FYP. I very much appreciate it. I'll be here in just a second. Hey, Diane. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. If you're just coming in, don't forget to hit the heart at the top. I am almost done sending out notices. Also, if you want to receive text messages every time I go live, there is a link in my bio on my link tree. It's the first link. It is for the Remind app. I send out notices with the link of what platform I'm on every time I go live. All right, I'm almost done. Hey, Miss Hustler. If you're here for the first time, make sure to follow the channel. I am going to be talking about the Idaho 4 here in just a second as soon as I finish sending out these notices. Welcome in, everybody that's coming in. All right, there we go. Okay, so the picture on the screen is a picture, a crime scene photo from the scene, and this is out on the back patio. Now, there's been a lot of speculation since this photograph started circulating about the way that the footprints are, that it looks like somebody was stepping on somebody else, and I'll tell you what it looks like to me. You do not, graveyard. What it looks like to me is that two people were huddled together because they were cold. I don't think that this is anything nefarious. Look, there's plenty for us to dig into without having to dig into footprints. I do, Bishan. One of the neighbors said that they saw Dylan outside with a group of guys the next morning. I did not, but I will right now. Morning. I did not, but I will right now. But I will right now. This is a new photo. Yeah, that was just released. And there has been no verdict yet on the crime scene photos. The family, they had a hearing today, and the judge said that they needed more time to make a decision on whether or not they're going to release, or what they're going to release as far as the rest of the crime scene photos go and the evidence stuff. I showed you. Can y'all hear me now? TikTok's doing something weird. This picture, I've already shown y'all the table. This is a close-up. Can y'all see this good? It looks like blood. It looks like blood, but it's not flagged. It's blood mixed with the other liquid that was on the table. That's what I think. But I want you to pay attention to this. So you see where this is at. And you see the proximity to the table. And you see the crease in the table. Now look at this picture. Hold on. Do you see that stain here? I sure don't see all of that liquid in the same spot. This looks like two completely different things. This on the screen right now is a screenshot that I took from the body cam footage from the first officer to get to the scene. This is a still shot that I took. No, there's only one bend in the table. This is a still shot. You can see that the table is over there too. So this is exactly what it was. Where is that other? Where is that? It's not there. I don't care how much you zoom in, it ain't there. Now, how in the hell is it there? Is it not there when the body cam footage? But it's here in this picture, which is supposed to be an evidence picture. Y'all, none of that liquid is there. You can see right there is the, on the right-hand side, there's that beer bottle. I've been looking at these pictures for the last, I don't even know how many hours. Is this not weird? Because I think this is weird. All right, y'all, I have a flash goal. I need 40 people to send a rose. 40 people to send a rose. Can I put the pictures next to each other? Yeah. Give me just a minute. Hang on. Yeah. Give me just a minute. Hang on. Ask my mods if they would do it. This just has me. Oh, thank y'all. Y'all already achieved the flash goal. Thank you so much. That was fast. Thank you, everybody who sent roses. Y'all, that liquid is not there. The liquid is not there in this picture. Look. You can plainly see it is not there. There's a little bit right there, but that's it. Nothing's wrong with the live. I think it's blood. I think it's several drops of blood, actually. There's that one, and that's an obvious drip pattern. Do you know which direction it came from? This is on the table. This is the card table that the beer pong is set up on. I haven't gotten there yet, Destiny. This is something that I just found. The liquid is dried in the other photo. The liquid is dried. Look. Hold on. The liquid is dry. It's just the light shining on it. But watch. You see it right there. I took this one from the body cam, from the first officer on the scene. Do you see any blood? Do you see those spots? Actually, CNA, it's not. It came from the other direction. You should be able to see it. So how did blood get there after the first officer got there? It's not the angle and lighting. I have several pictures of this table, and I have zoomed in on it from every angle. I went back and took screenshots of every angle of this table so that I could see if this damn thing's there, and it's not. My mods are making I'll ask my mods if they would do a comparison. I don't know if anybody saw it. I'll send them to you by text while I'm on right now. I'll send them to you by text while I'm on right now. Done. I just sent them to you. All right, so let's move on. So I know there are a lot of people who do not know about the blood in Dylan's room because I keep going off the screen to go and do stuff. So we now know this is Dylan's bedroom. Now, there were multiple items that they tested. And the reason that they tested them is because when they went into her room, and can you do them in like the same direction, Why Mama, so we can compare them, and zoomed in? So they sprayed luminol in her room, and then they hit it with a black light. And every object that picked up the presence of cellular material, they bagged. This crime happened on November 13th of 2022. They didn't test the items from her bedroom until June of 2023. Yes, June of 2023 is when they tested the items from her bedroom. Now, when they tested them, an actual test with chemicals, they found that only 2 of the items that had hit with the luminol were actually blood. But there were 2 items in her room that had blood on them. I don't understand why the families haven't been livid about a lot of stuff, to be honest. Because there's a lot that... So, these are the items that picked up in the room that hit with the luminol. There was a handwritten note, pink and white colored blanket with red hearts, pink and white colored cloth, black and white colored Vans, red and white colored shoes, black and white colored Converse, black and white colored Adidas short sleeve t-shirt, and a green and pink colored coat. Now, thank you, Amy, for subscribing. We now know, after seeing this, that the pink and white colored blanket and the green and pink coat both tested positive for blood. Because that is on this report. She did have Vans, yes. So, this picture that you're seeing right now, that is the pink blanket that had blood on it. No, this is Dylan's bedroom. It does not say whose blood. But she had blood on her jacket and on this blanket that was on her bed. This is Dylan's bedroom. It does not say whose blood. Well, I don't know how her blanket, I don't know how blood got on her blanket and her jacket. I don't know. That is a pink blanket with red hearts. That's what it says in the evidence log. Y'all, that's not blood on the blanket. Those are red hearts. That's not a bunch of blood. That's red hearts on that blanket. There's blood on the blanket, but that big those red spots are not blood. There is blood on it, but that is not a huge amount of blood that you're seeing. That is the print of the blanket. I'm referring to D22000030 from the supplement number 0192 that was released by the Idaho State Police. Amen, Rebecca. I mean, I can zoom in on it, but this is the only picture I've been able to find. The arrow is pointing to the blanket. This is where the blanket was located when they took the crime scene pictures. This is the blanket that tested positive for blood. My God. I don't know. I just thought I'd draw a random arrow on a picture and put it up on the screen. Tonight's going to be fun. Yes, they tested it. Jesus needs to take more than the wheel. Shit. Now listen to this. This is a short from somebody on YouTube, but listen to what they say because I think it's very interesting. Just a second. Listen. It's about this.
You have bloody items in Dylan's room. You have a pink and white blanket and a pink and green jacket with victim blood, both found in Dylan's bedroom, buried in a June 8th, 2023 lab report. Ann Taylor flagged it as withheld discovery. The judge shut it down in closed court the same day the prosecution filed protective order on an IgG sample. Again, if you have just one of these in addition to Brian Kohberger's, the normal case falls apart. This is what I'm saying. People's heads explode. Actually, they don't even explode. People, their brains turn off when they hear Brian Kohberger. If you put this on paper with none of the victims' names or none of somebody's names, and you just have people look at it, do you think that one person did this?
And here's the thing about this. If you didn't know anything about this case and you just had yes, that's Birdie. Birdie's been on my channel before. There's a lot of stuff that he says that I agree with. There's a lot of stuff that I don't. Just like anybody else. Well, you can say that all you want to, but he has some valid points. And he definitely has a valid point about this. There's a lot of stuff that I don't agree with that he says, but this is spot on. Because here's the thing. If you put all of this information in front of somebody who knows nothing about this case and didn't realize that this was about this particular case and you didn't know who the victims were, you would be questioning these roommates like a mofo. Some of y'all cannot see the forest for the freaking trees. And it is astonishing to me. And you would also never believe that one person did this. For instance, let's talk about this for just a minute. And close your eyes and think about this. Because this is something that I've actually talked about before. Close your eyes and think about this. Because this is something that I've actually talked about before. Hang on. Get this picture off the screen. Okay. So, think about this. And listen, I'm going to say this one time, and I don't give two fucks if you like what I say or you don't. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to talk about true crime cases and discuss evidence and things that don't make sense and things that don't add up. Lie detectors are not more commonly used because they are not at all reliable. Now, if you're a snowflake, a pansy, easily offended, or just looking for something to get your ass chapped about, you're in the wrong place because you're probably going to. I'm blunt, I'm to the point, and I don't care what you think. Everything that I talk about is either evidentiary in a court document or something that's been released from the police. I don't do conspiracy theories. If I tell you something that is my opinion, I tell you it's my opinion. I'm not out here thinking that somebody's out here over and around a cauldron. I'm not thinking that people are fighting in tunnels under houses. I'm not doing all that bullshit. And I have never in a million years said that I think Brian Kohberger's innocent. I don't. I do believe he's involved. But I do not believe that this man did this by himself. Because here's a little tidbit. If you haven't watched the surveillance footage that was released from 1112 King Road, you need to. And I'm going to tell you why you need to. We have been led to believe that this timeline starts at 4:04 a.m. That is what the prosecution has said. It's 11:12, Fran. 11:12. I didn't stutter. 11:22 is the house where the unalivings happened. 11:12 is the house adjacent to it that picked up the noises and the dog barking from the house for over an hour. Now, as I was saying, We have been led to believe by the prosecution that the timeline for this to have happened was between 4:04 a.m., which is when they say BK's alleged vehicle is seen entering the area. Then they say that his alleged vehicle is seen speeding away from the area at 4:20. Well, they're right, it is. Almost on two wheels, as a matter of fact. But what they leave out of that are all the times that he has circled three-point turns, almost as if he's waiting on someone to be picked up. We have no idea who's driving that car. We have no idea. And I'll tell you something else. We have no idea if it is his car. You want to know why? Because there is no way in hell anybody can identify that. And I know that for an absolute fact, because the prosecution's expert witness literally gave an affidavit sworn that is filed that says he cannot with 100% certainty say whether or not that is Brian Kohberger's vehicle. The only thing that he can say is that in his opinion, it has similar characteristics to the vehicle that Brian Kohberger drove. The prosecution's witness himself said there are no markings, there are no dents, dings, scratches, no bumper stickers, nothing that identifies that vehicle as Brian Kohberger's. And you also never see Brian Kohberger entering, exiting, or driving the vehicle. Not one time. And that is directly from the prosecution's expert witness. That is his sworn affidavit that he filed. Those are his words. He had no defensive wounds. None. None. Now back to this timeline. They have led us to believe that the time frame for this to have happened is between 4:04, when they say his vehicle is seen entering the area, to 4:20, when he's seen speeding away. That's 16 freaking minutes. 16 minutes to unalive 4 people, 2 on one floor and 2 on another, 2 of whom fought back like hellcats. One had over 20 wounds and her face was beaten unrecognizably, and the other one had over 50 wounds, the majority of which were defensive, and her fingers were almost severed because she grabbed the weapon. We've also been led to believe that there is not one noise that is picked up until 4:17 a.m. from that surveillance camera that's 50 feet from Xana's bedroom wall. That's a crock of shit too, because you can hear things from the moment that surveillance camera starts. You can hear people talking, screaming, moaning, arguing, in my opinion. And that poor dog literally yelps at one point, and that dog was no more inside that house than I was. That dog was outside on that balcony, because there is no way in hell that that dog bark would have been as loud as it was had it been inside that house. The balcony is literally maybe 70 feet from that house, and that dog sounds like it is right there with you in that surveillance camera. And at the exact timestamp of 4:24, excuse me, that's not it. Yes, 4:24:54, the dog yelps like something just hurt it. 4:24:54. Think about that for just a minute. Because they said Brian Kohberger leaves at 4:20, right? Then who's kicking or hurting the dog at 4:24, almost 4:25? Well, Fran, if the sliding door was open when he was barking, why wasn't it open when the police got there? Why was every door in that house open when the police got there? And the dog was laying on Kaylee's bed, not one drop of blood on its fur, nor anything on its paws. But you mean to tell me that dog's been there since 4 a.m. with his owner in the other room with the door open, covered in blood? And he didn't go in there or go anywhere in that house to see what was going on? You really believe that? Because if you do, you're not using your brain. And I understand that everybody wants the person responsible to be held accountable. But here's my question to every one of you who say, oh, you're just a conspiracy theorist. You don't know what you're talking about. Stop victim blaming. Here's what I have. This is my question to you. What if he's not? What if he's not the only one? What if the person or persons responsible is still out walking free? Do you want anybody to be held responsible? Or do you want the right person to be held responsible? Because I want the right person to be held responsible. And I'm not convinced that that he is. I'm just not. Because I want justice for the 4 people who lost their lives. The victims. The actual victims. The ones who are no longer here and don't have a voice. Not the 2 who laid there for 8 hours and let their friends bleed out upstairs. And miss me with your sympathy for them. Because if you're a sympathizer of those 2, you can go ahead and get out of my chat. Because the more I see and hear about those 2, the more I want to beat my head into a wall. Well, aren't you clever? Theories as whack as this makeup. I bet you look like the back end of a baboon. And if you really think that I give 2 flying fucks what you think about how I look, I'm 65 years old. I think I look pretty damn good. I'm actually not 65. You would be correct, late 40s. No, I'm not 65. People come in here and tell me that shit all the time, so I've just adopted the age. Hell, if people gonna call me 65, I'm gonna say I'm 65. Oh, thank you. But anyhow, I'll get this off the screen. I hate these stickers. Remove. You like my accent? Well, according to some, it's fake too. No, my mother's 67. I'm not 65. What hasn't came out about the other roommates? What hasn't, to be honest? So here is, I'm going to show you the picture of that table where the blood drop is. Well, thank you, 1983. I did CNA. Hang on. They did, and they did not make a ruling. The judge said that they needed more time. Josette, the last few lives that I've done are uploaded on my YouTube channel, and that is listed in my bio on my link tree. I'm going to have the one from yesterday and this one uploaded to YouTube after I get through with this live. Tonight, when I go to YouTube, I'll be on my backup YouTube channel because some stupid on YouTube struck me last night. Now, let me just make this very clear. My channels on YouTube are not about true crime. I just have them uploaded there for those of you who want to see and miss what's on TikTok. My channels over there are drama channels. Well, hell, this may as well be drama lately. Well, and here's where I'm at with this. Yeah, all information, all of my social media links are in my bio on my link tree. So here is where I'm at with all of this. If we have all of these questions, why didn't the police? And please tell me you'll get them for any live graveyard. If you sign up for text notifications, that is also on my link tree. You'll get notifications every time I go live, but I say what I'm going live about. I am going to do panel in just a minute. Well, Harley, here's the thing about that. I'm not so sure that the police do know things that we don't. I'm not sure that they know their ass from a hole in the ground at this point, because here's a valid point for you. Please tell me, does this law enforcement agency, or all of them that work this case, have an aversion to testing blood? What exactly is the malfunction with all of these law enforcement agencies and the actual testing and following through on blood evidence? Because you've got the blood smear on the handrail going down to the first floor that literally was flagged by the DNA laboratory and said, hey, this connects to a group of 4 biological brothers. Contact them and see if they'll submit a DNA sample. So they call him. Old boy says, no, I ain't giving you no sample. Don't call me again. And they don't. Now, in what world does that work? Idaho, apparently. If he said no, why didn't they get a warrant? And then they never followed through on it. We don't know if those 4 brothers were connected or not because they never got a sample and never followed through. Instead, they pinned the entire case on a minuscule amount of touch DNA. Such a small amount that they didn't even find it the first time they tested the sheath. They didn't find it until the second time they tested it. They pinned the entire case on a piece of touch DNA instead of following through on the blood evidence. There's a smear of blood on the handrail going down to the first floor. that they never tested. And here's something for those of you who don't know and like to argue. Blood places you at the scene. Well, Harley, what was it? What placed him in that house, Harley, other than touch DNA? Please, click the link and come on up and tell me. Because every other thing has been debunked. Every other thing. There is not one hair, not one fiber, not one piece of DNA anywhere in that house or on the victims' bodies that belongs to Brian Kohberger, other than touch DNA on the button flap of a knife sheath that just so happens to be laying beside one of the victims' bodies but has no blood on it. Not a drop. So if he took that knife out of that sheath and laid it or dropped it on the bed before he's unaliving them, it doesn't have any blood on it, but there's blood all over that room. And not one person saw that knife sheath until after 4 p.m. All of the people that were in that room, and nobody saw it until Brett Payne says he saw it from the doorway later. So you didn't see it when you went in the room, but later you see it from the doorway? What kind of cops are y'all? Because that should have been one of the first things you noticed. You've got 4 victims brutally unalived by a short force weapon, and you don't notice a knife sheath laying beside the bodies? And no blood's on it. Not one drop of the victim's blood was on that. The coroner had not been there. Touch DNA does not put you physically in a location, but blood does. And they had multiple samples of blood from unknown males that were never followed through. There was another unknown male's blood in the front yard on a pair of bloody gloves that they never followed through. Look at all of the blood that was found at Jack Showalter's house. Jack Showalter, hoodie guy, the guy that was at the Grubhub with Maddie and Kaylee the night that they were unalived. They found blood smears all over his house. Took swabs. The officer even said that his front door, the drip pattern on his door, looked identical to the drip pattern that was on the banister at the house. It's in the report. Jack Showalter, who, it just so happens, there is a surveillance video of someone dressed all in black leaving Jack Showalter's apartment area at 3:53 a.m. the night that they were unalived. 3:53 a.m. Somebody dressed all in black, face covered, walking toward the house on King Road. And the last surveillance camera that picked him up is the one that is right before you get to the house. And he's never seen again on surveillance camera walking any further. Nor is he seen returning to the home. (3:53 a.m.) And miraculously, the blood samples that were taken from his home were ruined before they got to be tested. They were put into a refrigerator that shit the bed. That refrigerator that those blood samples were in just happened to stop working before they were ever tested. And y'all think that's a coincidence? There just happens to be a hooded figure, all in black, leaving his apartment, walking toward where the crime happened 7 minutes before it allegedly starts. Blood all over his door, all in his house. Yet he was cleared and left the area the same night. At best, he would have heard something if he was just walking by. How was he cleared? Because his father's in politics. Not only that, but Jack Showalter was thrown out of his fraternity for violence against other fraternities because he put multiple dead animals in the yards of the other fraternities. His family is very well off. It is definitely serial killer behavior. It's one of the triad, actually. So is bedwetting. I've said this a million times since this case, since the unalivings happened. This crime scene is almost pristine. And what I mean by that is I challenge you, and I've said this every night. I love you too, babe. I say this every night. I challenge all of you. Look up crime scene photos from crimes similar to this one. And look at the blood that is everywhere. Everywhere on the path of travel of the perpetrator. Every floor in this house is spotless, looking as if it has just been mopped, except the stairway that goes downstairs to the front door. It's filthy. Filthy. Why? And that was the first thing, and the reason that I've been wanting to see this body cam footage, because we've been told since the probable cause affidavit was filed, December 31st of 2022, that there was one latent footprint found. One latent footprint. Directly outside Dylan's bedroom door. One latent. Thank you, Missy. How is there one footprint? Did Peg Leg Pete get beamed down by Scotty right in front of her door and then beamed back up? Was he riding a hoverboard and hopped off and back on? One footprint? What? Well, foot covers make no sense either, because if they were wearing foot covers, there would be smears on the floor. Thank you, Brittany. There would be something on the floor. Whether he had on booties, a hazmat suit, whatever. There would be something on the floor. And there's nothing. Nothing. There is not blood anywhere other than inside those bedrooms. That's it. And on Dylan's jacket and blanket. And there was a blood smear on the handrail going down to the first floor. So, forget everything for just a minute. Forget everything that you know and think about this. Thank you, Cherry. If you were just hearing about this and you didn't know any of the details, and you knew that there was blood on the handrail going down to the first floor, there was not a footprint or a drop of blood outside the back door, nor any footprints going in the direction of where they say that the car was parked. What direction would you assume the person went out of the house? Oh, Megan, miss me with your bullshit. Shame on you. They did use the luminol, yes. Two sets of footprints in opposite directions, but none that were in the direction of the vehicle. Well, Fran, she says that she saw him walk toward the sliding glass door. You can't see that door from her bedroom. So there's no way that she saw him go out that door from her doorway. Harley, the blood couldn't have been from another time. Do you know anything about blood dating? I do. And labs can tell exactly how long blood has been in a location by the amount of oxidation that's happened since it was left there. And the samples that they tested were within the time frame of when this was supposed to have happened. Well, Micah, I've said that from jump. She was so scared. So scared. Harley, look it up. Do some research, Shug. You think you know everything. Look up how long it takes for blood to oxidize. I'm not a teacher. Blood was found in her room on two separate items, on a pink jacket and on a blanket with hearts on it. And let me say this. I am not saying that Dylan is involved in the unaliving, because I have no proof of that. Yes, in Dylan's room. What I am saying is this. If at best, she is beyond grossly negligent. beyond. Thank you, Graveyard. Well, and let's not forget, she also says that the perpetrator said, "It's okay, I'm here to help you." While her roommate is saying, "Someone's here." And that is almost identical to the words said on the exact television show that Dylan and Bethany claim to have been watching the night that the unalivings happened. Not only that, screaming, hollering, stabbing, the exact same words. And anybody who thinks that's a coincidence, I don't even know what to say anymore. Yes, Maddie. And here's the thing. Never do they mention that dog barking when they're talking to the police. That poor dog. I don't know how that dog didn't have a nervous breakdown. And that's the honest to God truth. Good question, Graveyard. Welcome in, y'all. If you're just coming in, please make sure to hit the heart at the top and send your heart me for the day. If you're here for the first time, make sure to follow the channel. Well, here's another question for you. If that is indeed Brian Kohberger who is speeding away at 420, and they are speeding away, I mean, the car's almost on two wheels, then why do the noises, voices, and the dog barking continue for at least 30 more minutes? And why were we led to believe that no noises started until 4:17 a.m.? Why were we led to believe that the time frame of when it happened was 4:04 to 4:20? When at 4:07, Brian Kohberger, if that is him in that car, is still doing a 3-point turn on King Road. How the hell is he inside that house committing unalivings if he's still in a car doing a 3-point turn? Which would have taken him at least 2 more minutes to complete the turn and get up the road to where they claim he parked the car. Get out of the car and in the house. So you mean to tell me that you believe that he unalived these 4 people in under 12 minutes? Less than that, because he had to get back to the car and then zoom away. Around 10 minutes, maybe. And not leave a drop of blood anywhere in that house. Not a drop of blood is anywhere in the path that he would have had to have taken after unaliving them. One of the victims has 50 plus injuries, the majority of which are defensive. Her fingers are almost severed. And the other one has 20 plus wounds, and her face is beaten unrecognizably. In 10 minutes, on 2 separate floors, and not a drop of blood anywhere in that house on the path of travel. Thank you very much. Come on. Ethan had no defensive wounds. I wish I knew why he was the scapegoat. I wish I knew. But I will tell you now, after seeing that Vampire Diaries episode and the fact that Dylan stated the exact words that were in that, I don't even believe that she saw anybody. You think I know what, Jack? I've always questioned it because her statements are so inconsistent, and she honestly just makes me want to shake her. But I don't even believe that she saw anybody. Well, Marlisa, that's a good question. No, friend, she said that she saw him walking toward her from Xana's bedroom direction. He turned and went toward the glass door in the kitchen. And then she slammed the door and locked it back. However, just a few moments later, she opens it back up and walks out into the area, not knowing if he's gone or not. This strange man that you're so scared of, you lock your door. And you've just heard your friend running down the stairs screaming, strange man in a mask telling them, it's okay, I'm here to help you. So you walk outside, not knowing if he's still in there, but you're scared to death in a frozen shock phase. So shocked that you can't call 911, but you can walk out there, walk through the living room. The lights are on, according to her. I saw you, Leah. And she says she sees Xana in the floor. You've just heard an altercation that you say you're so scared you're screaming your friend's name over and over and over because you're so scared of what's happening to her. Yet you walk outside in the living room, look to your left, and you see your other roommate laying in the floor, and you don't even go to check on them and just assume she's passed out drunk. It ain't got nothing to do with the altercation that I just heard out here that she says she waited until it was over to open the door back up. Then you go downstairs to another bedroom where you literally have to pass the front door where your car keys are hanging up. You could have grabbed your keys, ran out the front door, and got in your car. Turn the fucking car alarm on, for God's sake. Hit the button. Make your car alarm go off. Scare anybody away that's there. Let everybody know that something's going on. Alert someone. But instead of doing that, she keeps walking, turns, goes down the long hallway to Bethany's room, goes inside, and goes to sleep. All the while, Murphy is literally barking for his life. That dog's barks should have scared them shitless. If they were as scared and scary as they say they are, and were always afraid of something, the way that dog was barking should have scared both of them shitless, and neither one of them should have been able to sleep. It is amazing to me how many people come in and say, stop victim blaming. Blah, blah, blah. If you're not questioning everything about this case, where is your brain? And I am so sick of people saying, it wouldn't have done any good to call 911. They wouldn't have been. Not one person on this planet knows that. Not one. There's not a person on this planet alive that can say that none of them would have been saved if 911 had have been called. There have been people mortally wounded in combat whose lives have been saved, whose limbs have been blown off, necks sliced, all kinds of things, blown in half, for God's sake, who have been saved when help got to them fast enough. The Lord is the only person that knows if they would have been saved or not. Not any mortal. And I am so tired of people saying that. Not only that, if she had called 911 when she says she heard Kaylee scream that somebody was in the house, she could have saved Xana and Ethan from even being injured. It took 2 minutes for the police to get there once the 911 call happened. 2 minutes. They could have stopped him and caught him if she had called 911. But Lord, don't question Dylan. Lord help us. Don't question that poor old victim. Victim where? Did she have an injury? Was she even approached with harm? No. She looked at his eyeballs. They locked gazes, and he just kept walking. She even says, he didn't say, I don't know why he didn't say anything to me. You don't know why he didn't say anything to you? That's what's going through your head? But now she has a GoFundMe for over $112,000 for her healing journey. Well, she was healed pretty good because 2 nights after the unaliving, she was out partying. Drunker than Cooter Brown. And has continued to be since then. Even though her father made this big long post that said, oh, she's so sad and locked in her house and she only plays her video games. Bullshit. Because folks called your ass out on that, paps. Folks called your ass out because the moment her daddy posted that shit, pictures started surfacing from the other people at the college saying, yep, nope, you're lying. Here's your girl right here. She ain't in the house playing a video game. Millie, neither do you. You know what I do know, Millie? You know what I do know? She didn't have one fucking injury. Not a scratch, nothing on her body. But there were 4 people in that house who were butchered while she sat in a bedroom doing not fucking anything. According to her. I'm so sick of these damn people. And have none of you ever questioned, why did she not one time that night, not one time in her phone records, does she call or text her boyfriend? I mean, I don't know, but if I'm going through some shit like that and I'm scared the fuck to death, that's probably the first person I'm going to call after I call the police. But nothing to Quinn. Not a phone call, not a text message, not a Snapchat, nothing. To her parents, to her boyfriend, nobody. But every other body in the world she was taking selfies, recording videos of what? What were you making videos of? You were so traumatized you can't call 911, but you're making videos of what? Well, you know what, Drum Dude? Here's the thing. That comment that you just made right there, you're a piece of shit. For anybody to think that the information, evidence, and details about 4 people who were brutally butchered is entertaining? What you should be is scared. Because guess what? Guess what? If Brian Koberger is not the only person that did this, or if he didn't do it, who did? And where are they right now? Yes, Callie. She was making videos all night. I've also said this since the beginning. The crime scene was pristine. And what I mean by that is that 3 of the victims had the exact same wound. Subclavian artery was severed. That is a kill hit. That's a kill hit. That is to inflict maximum damage that you are not coming back from. 3 of them had that same injury. That's also not, he didn't confess, he pled. It's also not an easy place to find. That is the artery that goes to your heart that is typically used for chemo ports. Well, and wasn't that interesting, Stephanie, the way that she made that comment? You might not find any evidence because we deep cleaned the week before. Why would deep cleaning the week before prohibit anyone from finding any evidence? And both of them mentioned cleaning. Both of them mentioned it. Why? Yes, Karen. Yes, Chris. In the body cam footage. Both of them mentioned the cleaning of the house. Why volunteer that information? Ding, 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 me. The killer would have had blood dripping off of him. Whoever did these unalivings should have had blood from head to toe. When you sever the subclavian artery, there's going to be arterial spray. This person did that to 3 people, and you don't think that they're covered in blood? Oh my God. If you're here for the first time, please make sure to follow the channel. If you are interested in true crime, details, facts, evidence, not conspiracy theories and nonsense. And let me make this statement again. I have never, ever said that I do not believe that I think that Brian Koberger is innocent. I don't. I do believe that he was involved. Absolutely. However, I do not believe that this man did this himself in 10 minutes. And anybody who does think so is crazy. Could somebody have done this in 10 minutes? Abso-fucking-lutely. Yes, somebody could have done this in 10 minutes. But what they couldn't have done is park a car, walk in the house, go upstairs, unalive 2, not leave a drop of blood or a footprint all the way down the stairs, through the living room by a table that is literally in your way that you have to squeeze beside, go in, unalive 2 more people, one of whom fights you back so badly that her hands are severed. She stabbed 50 times. You kill both of them. You should be covered in blood. And yet again, there's not a piece of evidence anywhere that anybody's walked through that house. Anywhere. No blood. The floors are literally pristine. Pristine. There's no proof that he sat down. So do I think that somebody could have done this in 10 minutes? Absolutely. Absolutely. But not park a car, get out, walk in. They would have been running. Do you hear me? They would have been huffing through that house. I see your comments. I see every comment. I read my chat. Heather, I can't answer that. I don't know. No, the luminol wouldn't have shown the blood even when cleaned up. If you clean it the right way. If you use peroxide and several other things. Thank you for subscribing. And then you have the two girls who were not touched, who were not even approached, even though one of them claims that she looked at him eyeball to eyeball. He brutally unalives 4 people and leaves one person who saw him untouched. Come on. Why do I think Bethany is so quiet? I think it has something to do with the fact that she didn't want to come back to Idaho. And I also think that it probably has a lot to do with Ann Taylor making a public allegation in a court record that Bethany was withholding exculpatory evidence. Exculpatory. That could exonerate Brian Kohberger. We don't know what evidence. But what I do know is there's no way in hell that Ann Taylor would have put that on record if she didn't have some pretty solid proof of it. So whatever it is that Ann Taylor believes that she knows would have been pretty compelling for her to have put that on paper, on record. Ann Taylor's not a judge. She was Brian Kohberger's attorney. A lot of people from the town have made comments about how corrupt the town is. Well, and that's true too. In the body cam footage, not one time does Bethany state that Dylan came down to her bedroom that night. Not once does she say that. Not one time. All right, y'all, if you have a question or a comment, you can hit the pink and blue button at the bottom. I'm going to take questions for about 15 minutes. If you are just coming in, please make sure to hit the heart at the top and send your heart me for the day. And if you're here for the first time, please make sure to follow the channel. If you're not here for the first time, please make sure you're still following the channel, because for whatever reason, TikTok likes to unfollow. Hey, babe. Jenna, I don't know what I'm talking. Well, get on up here and let's chit chat. Get on up here and let's see if you know what you're talking about, shall we? Come on, click the link, pink and blue. Come on up. Belinda Moore, how many times are you going to ask what my interest is in this case? Have you been listening? Good question. What was the light and boom flash? However, I listened to the surveillance video again today, and I heard a boom. I heard something that sounded as like it could have been a firework. I wrote down the timestamp, and tomorrow I'm going to try to clean it up a little bit more to see if I can hear it better. But I did hear something. Well, Belinda, here's the thing. If you had just popped a squat and listened, you probably would have heard what my interest is in this case. I cover true crime cases. I have for the last 6 years. I've covered dozens of true crime cases. Aw, babe. I have a theory, yes, and I have a motive too, but I don't want to talk about it. I don't do conspiracy theories. And I'll tell you this as well. I truly believe, and I do think that it is very possible that the reason that Brian Kohberger took a plea deal was so that all of this information would be made public. Because I do not think that it would have if it had gone to trial. I remind you of Nancy Grace. I get that a lot because of the accent. And because I'm pretty freaking blunt. All right, let's see who's back here.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Okay, so I really wanted to jump on this and ask you, and I've been patiently waiting. I am still working on the documents or reading all the documents, and
Good luck.
I know I'm on 131 right now, but back on number 77,
From which job?
the released from all the police officers and all that.
PD? Hold on, let me pull it up.
Yes. It was the interview with SP by Officer James Fry.
Okay, hang on, let me find it. You said 77?
Yes.
Another one of these backheel passes beat up like the Bulldogs. Oh, that's so nice.
Out of there were so many that caught my eye, but this one really, really got me. And I'm like, why am I not hearing more people talk about this? I don't know if
Yes, the TV's really loud. They're having a hard time.
Yep. Sorry, give me 1 second. Let me shut this off. Okay, is that better?
It is. Okay, I have the document pulled up. So what part about it did you have a question about?
It was whenever he was, this gentleman was talking about this guy named G, or really didn't say it, said GM, and he didn't know the last name, and but he knew where he lived, and he lived in one of the apartments just off of a certain avenue. It doesn't say when, but it was probably somewhere around there from what they were describing. Well, anyway, this guy begins explaining about how he had a friend and of the family for many years, and he did handiwork for him. Well, then you keep on reading, and then it goes down to where
I hate to interrupt you, but hang on just 1 second.
Absolutely.
Jenna, I'm not sure if you're dim-witted or just intentionally ignorant, but you obviously don't know anything about the documents of this case. None. Because if you did, you wouldn't be so close-minded. And bitch, you won't say whatever you want. Fuck off. Now you a block bitch too. Ain't no damn democracy. It's my channel. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you are good. Anyway, so he said he had a friend, and then whenever they got, after they went camping, and when they got there, one of the sisters or something like that got into a fight with, or the sister's brother got into a fight with a camper that was near where they was at. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember where, if it said where it was at, but they got into a heated argument. So as they were walking later on that night, this guy said he climbed up on top of the hill to kind of watch to make sure they didn't get into any more scuffles.
And then he came up on him there too.
Yes, yes. So what really got me is whenever he said that he went to, he saw that GM guy at Mad Greek, and they were having that conversation with the two girls. Then Ethan came over. Then toward the end is whenever I'm trying to remember where it was at, that he followed them back to the house, and he went inside the house, Kaylee's house. And sorry, I'm trying to remember without going into long detail. I'm trying to figure out exactly where it was at. He said, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. I'm trying to, apparently he was a drunk, and he said P, which is the guy who was explaining, said he asked about a conversation that took place at the Mad Greek, and P said that he told him he went back to the girl's house, and when they came home, he was inside the house and made the statement, "They had no idea that I was even there. I could have killed them all if I wanted to." He then went and got a larger knife from out of the back shed and showed him, and he was talking about them. What are your thoughts on that?
Just like with every other person that they had who could possibly be a suspect, there's no follow-up. You're not going to find anything any further that has done anything with this. There are so many people that gave them information about things that they never followed through on, and this is one of them.
I just can't believe that it's not talked about more. Like, I mean, if he literally followed them, went into the house, was he the one?
I have talked about this before.
Stalking them? I mean...
Well, here's the thing about it, though. Here's the thing. How did he get in the house?
Exactly.
Because they said they always locked the doors, and only specific people had the code, and they literally gave the code, everybody who had the code, to the officers. So how did he get inside the house and was hiding, and they didn't know it?
Ooh, that's a good point. I don't know. Along with everything else that works our brains,
I am old school with how I do cases, and I have notebooks for every case that I do, and I take notes and I write down and whatever, you know. And on this particular document, the reason I pulled up is because I got my notebooks so that I could see what I had put in here. Mm-hmm. And my notes on this, I have a big question mark right here, and it says, "How'd he get in the house?"
That's a good question. And he didn't specify either how he got in there.
Nope. But he was in a heated argument with Ethan.
Oh, he was?
And the girls at the Mad Greek, yeah.
Oh, yes. And then P overheard him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
A heated argument with both of the girls and Ethan.
Yeah. That kind of raises a lot of red flags. I don't understand why it didn't get pushed any further.
Never followed through on. And this was on December 16th. You want to know why it was never followed through on?
Why?
Because on December 19th, they got the name of Brian Koberger from the FBI.
That's right. So they shut everything else down.
Well, quite frankly, they never started on anything else.
Well, that's true. They didn't. Huh. Gives you a lot to think about.
There's a whole lot to think about with this case, for sure.
Absolutely. But anyway, that's all really I wanted to kind of pick your brain on. So thank you.
No problem.
All right.
Any of you who have read these documents, and if you want to download these documents, you can go to the Moscow PD and download them. They're free to the public. And I will go ahead and tell you, you're going to be ready to pull your hair out or beat your head into a wall or something when you go through these things, because the amount of absolute let me back that up. I don't know that it's ineptitude. I don't know if it's ineptitude. I don't know if it's laziness. I don't know if it's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Heather, there are a couple of episodes on my YouTube channel that I've gone through some of these documents, yes. Well, I definitely agree on corruption. And not only that, and this is something that Steve Gonsalves touched on, you know, the fact that they let this pretty rookie detective take over a case of this magnitude, I don't get it. Oh, yes, Liv. Yes, I watched it a little bit earlier. That judge seemed gobsmacked at how much had already been redacted and at how detailed and honestly ridiculous the gag order was. And I want y'all to think about that for a minute. Think about the gag order. I've never, and I've covered true crime cases for 6 years, and I have followed true crime my entire life. I've never seen a case with this kind of gag order. Ever. Ever. And I said that from the beginning. I've never seen a case with a gag order like this. It's due process. I mean, I get redacting the witnesses' names and things like that, but keeping every document out of the public eye is absolutely ridiculous. And this entire case has been that way. And I truly, the more that I've thought about this, because listen, when Brian Kohberger took a plea deal, I was gobsmacked. Gobsmacked. I could not believe it. Aw, thank you, Corey. Gosh, Kimberly Raymer. But the more that I've thought about it, the more it makes sense to me. And I do believe that this was probably the best chance he had of getting the evidence out there. Because I do not believe that the majority of this would have been seen in a courtroom. Thank you, Brandy. I just don't. I think that this was absolutely strategic. But here's my problem. Here's my problem. I don't think Brian Kohberger is going to make it to the new year. I don't. There's too much going on already. And I honestly believe that that is just setting the stage for what's going to happen. And I don't think it has anything to do with retaliation for what he did. It has nothing to do with him being a snitch. And I'm not talking about the powers that be, and I'm not talking about the families or anything like that. What I do think is that whoever has the means to make sure that he never talks, because he is the biggest liability there is. And I've said this several times. If you have not questioned why there was a special prosecutor appointed to this case, you should. You should. And you should also look up his areas of expertise. Because any case that I've ever seen where the governor appoints a special prosecutor to a case, and there's not many of them, it is because that prosecutor has expertise in whatever case is being litigated. There's something that they can add to the litigation, something they can help with, something they can provide insight or knowledge about. And Joshua Hurwitz has 2 areas of expertise. 2. The first one is COVID financial fraud. The second one is he was one of the main parts of a task force that investigated and took down, prosecuted 10 members of the Aryan Night cartel. I've said from the beginning that I believe that the people who were intended to be unalived were unalived. Yes, Laura. Yes, Tina. The exact people were unalived. I do believe it was a message. What that message is, I don't know. One of the people who knows what happened is in here right now. Hey. That's what somebody just said. That was a comment that I just read out loud. And for those of you who have questions, research it for yourself. I mean, we already know that Xana's mother was being represented by Ann Taylor. For drug charges, rug charges, whatever. Not Dylan's dad, Dylan's boyfriend's dad. Quinn, the boyfriend that she never calls or texts the entire night. Awesome, Missy K. Ann Taylor resigned from representing Xana's mother to take Brian Kohberger's case. And for those of you who have not followed this since the beginning, Xana's mother was actually a fugitive when this happened. She had rug charges that she had fled from. And she was actually interviewed on Banfield's show on News Nation while she was a fugitive. She was also a CI, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, the one where she was in her car, Benji. Mm-hmm. All right, y'all. I'm gonna get off of here for tonight. But I will be uploading this to my YouTube channel. I'm actually going to upload it to both of them, both my regular and my backup. I'm going to be going live on my backup channel in just a little bit. That channel is about drama. It is not about true crime. So that I can unwind a little bit after I have a conversation with my sweet cheeks. All of my... Thank you, my mama. All of my social media links are in my bio on my link tree. But I'm going to download last night's live and tonight's live, and I'm going to upload those on both YouTube channels here in just a little bit. Thank you, everybody, for being here. If you have not already followed the channel, please do so. And don't forget to hit the heart at the top if you haven't already, if you are a team member. Thank you, everybody who was here because you are genuinely interested in this case and justice for the victims. You are very much appreciated. Those of you who just were here to cause drama and chaos, yes, my backup channel is also in my bio. My backup YouTube channel and my regular YouTube channel is in my bio. There's also a link there for Remind. If you want to get a text message every time I go live, you can sign up for that. And before y'all go, I'm curious, if you learned something new tonight, please put a 1 in the chat. Good deal. That's my purpose. I converted you? Oh my gosh, Penny. Really, babe? 7? All right, y'all. Have a great night. I will see some of you. I love you too. I will see some of you on YouTube in a little bit. And the rest of you, I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye, y'all.